Hey guys, how are y'all doing today? It's your friend Matt here again, and welcome back to another Borderlands 2 video. Today we're once again back on Digistruct Peak on the max overpowered level of 8, and today we are actually soloing it with Axton the Commando, which is probably one of the most difficult things that I've ever done in this game. It took me an incredibly long time to actually do this right. So anyways, before anything else, let's go over the gear that I'm using. The Prudential Norfleet is in my first slot. Obviously, just a good weapon to have if you get into a sticky situation. It saved me a few times in this video, actually. Two types of infinities, the caustic or corrosive version, as well as the incendiary version for whatever type of enemy that I might be fighting, as well as the slagga for slag damage, just for slagging enemies when my turrets are depleted. The Alkaline the Bee Shield, and the Legendary Soldier class mod, as well as, of course, the Sheriff's Badge, as the infinities are going to be my main purpose weapons throughout this video. The grenade mod that I'm using is the Sticky Longbow Khazar for grouping up enemies, and as well as throwing off any kind of shooting enemies so they don't knock out my Bee Shield in sticky situations. Anyways, this is my level 72 commando build. It's just an all-purpose kind of commando build for Digistruct Peak. Mainly it's for Digistruct Peak. This is not the kind of build that you want to use to go up against raid bosses or anything, but other than raid bosses, this is a pretty good build to have. But mainly this is something that you would want for Digistruct Peak because it does help you in a lot of situations. I have the 2 turrets as well as the slag on both of them, so that is really useful because the only way, basically, obviously you're not the Siren, so you don't have phase lock. The only way you can actually keep your Bee Shield from going down is using those turrets as a distraction, and it's much better to have 2 of those turrets instead of just 1. It's a lot easier for the enemies to just pinpoint a turret instead of you, and it makes things a lot easier. As you can see, if I didn't have those 2 turrets down right now, these guys would be all over me, and I would definitely not have my Bee Shield on at all. The turrets are an absolute necessity when you're doing Digistruct Peak with the Commando. It's just incredibly important, and you could probably do this with 1 turret, but I just like to have 2 turrets because it helps a lot, and it provides more distraction so the enemies don't focus on you. You'll notice that it was pretty difficult for me to actually defeat most of these like mini bosses, such as Dakino's mom. I cut the fight down into like even more than half because the entire fight with Dakino's mom was a bit too long for me, well, in my opinion, to put in a video, so I just decided to cut it down because it was pretty repetitive just shooting it with the corrosive infinity for freaking 3 minutes. So it's definitely a lot more difficult than with the Siren, because obviously the Siren, if you have the B-Hawk combo, which I'm gonna admit should probably be patched, but if you have the B-Hawk combo with the Legendary Cat class mod, it's just a murder fest with the Siren. Obviously, you don't have the Cat class mod with the Commando, which is probably the reason why I'm not really utilizing the Sandhawk. Instead, I'm using the Infinities. I discovered that after I recorded this footage, I discovered that you can use the double penetrating Unkept Herald. It would be more effective in some of these fights. Like when I just fought Dakino's mom right there, it's actually a little better. I discovered later it cuts down your time by a good amount if you use the double penetrating Unkept Herald. It can save you a few times through some of these fights. The only problem with that is obviously the ammo consumption. After you fight Dakino's mom with the Unkept Herald, dude, you'll probably be at a very minimal amount of ammo left, and to have the infinities is just probably a really necessary thing because you just don't want to run out of ammo. Plus, the infinity also works with a few good skills on the commando skill tree, so I'll probably do a separate video going over the level 72 commando build that you saw at the beginning of this video, because it is a pretty good build for Digistruct Peak, and to be honest, I couldn't think of any other way you could be able to solo Digistruct Peak unless you had this build. So I'll probably go over it in a separate video because I just think it's a pretty good build to have for the Commando, especially when you're doing Digistruct Peak. Anyways, back on topic. Like I said in the beginning of the video, it took me incredibly long to do this. It was probably, like I said, one of the most difficult things that I've ever done in Borderlands 2. To put it in perspective, for the past week, or let's just say since I posted the video of the Siren doing this on solo with Digistruct Peak, since then I've tried about 20 times with the Commando, which may not seem like a lot in terms of farming, but if you think about Digistruct Peak, each of these probably takes about If you were to complete it with the Siren, it probably takes about 30 minutes because of all the overpowered gear and everything. But with the Commando, if you actually complete this, it'd be like 50 minutes to an hour, I'd say. And when I usually fail is around the Assassins or Saturn, so I'd probably say that each of these attempts was at least half an hour. So that's quite a few more hours put into my stack of time on Borderlands 2. But hey, it was all worth it in the end when I actually managed to do it. Turns out you just gotta be real careful. Just like I said in the Siren video, stay back, make sure that your turrets are always, whenever possible, make sure that your turrets are ready to go so you can use them as a distraction, because that is the main necessary thing for the Commando. Another really difficult part of this fight is right now with Doc Mercy, because for some reason, I don't know why, but Doc Mercy, he's really powerful. He can take out your turrets pretty easily. There are a select few enemies in Digistruct Peak that can easily destroy your turrets that you really want to watch out for. One of them is those new type of shock nomads that they added into Digistruct Peak. Those guys will take out the Commando's turret instantly, just with one few bursts with their whatever you call it, their shock weapon. It will take out the Commando's turret instantly. It's very powerful. And Doc Mercy's E-Tech weapon is also very powerful, can take out your turrets pretty easily as well. So there are a select few enemies that you really got to watch out for when you're doing this, because once those turrets are down, you're pretty much vulnerable. And I'll show you a few tactics that you can actually use to make sure that you're prepared for any time. Anyways, as you can see, I'm fighting the Assassins now. Thank goodness they didn't all four of them spawn on me at once. And as you can see, my turrets are actually just chilling right now. So I picked them up, and I'm waiting for them to replenish before I face the next two Assassins, because I've already killed Assassin Watt and Assassin Wreath. So when Assassin Wunny and Assassin, what's his name, Roof come out, I want to make sure that I have those turrets ready, because that is the only way that I can beat them. When they're both shooting at you, there's just simply no way you can do it. So I use this tank as like kind of, I just keep them alive until my turrets actually regenerate, and then I'll kill them, and then I'll pull out the turrets to be able to kill these two guys, because without those turrets, you're finished. As you can see, these two assassins will be concentrated completely on my turrets. They're just going to be completely ignoring me, and without, like I said, I'm emphasizing this a lot, I know, but it's pretty much the only way to do this with the Commando solo. You gotta utilize those turrets as a distraction. It's very important. And Assassin Wunny over here, he's completely taken off guard, and that's pretty much how to do it with the Assassins. It's gonna be very difficult if you get all four of them to spawn at once, so just watch out for that. Anyways, here we go with Saturn fight. Ooh man, this is probably where I died the most, and this is probably the most frustrating part of this entire thing. Decided to pull out the uncapped Herald for as long as I possibly could until I ran out of ammo for it, which is a mistake. You'll see later how it kind of screwed me over to actually use this weapon more than I should have. But like I said, the Saturn fight, it was a huge problem for me when I was using the Commando. And the previous 19 attempts that I made, most of them I died here because it's just so difficult. When you're with the, as you guys saw, I don't know if you saw my Siren video, but if you did see my Siren video, you can see how it took a good amount of time, even with the B-Hawk combo and the legendary Cat class mod, to actually take out each of these Saturns. So you can imagine, when you're using just an uncapped Herald, a couple Infinities, those guns are extremely weak compared to the Sandhawk, and combined with the B and the legendary Cat class mod, you can imagine how long this actually takes. So one tip that I can definitely give you is to actually try not to shoot Saturn's turrets, the ones that he has lashed on his body, because those can actually pick you back up if you destroy them when you're in fight for your life. So just to be safe, you should probably keep those turrets alive. I mean, the turrets on Saturn, not my turrets, but the turrets on the Saturn, you want to keep them alive so you can actually pick yourself up if you go down. It's pretty important. And as you can see, once again, the turrets so good, and you'll see later that Saturn uses that attack right there. That is an extremely powerful attack. Took both of my turrets out, and then he started shooting at me, and I went down, and I honestly thought that I wasn't gonna make it this time again, and I was just like, God damn it, I'm gonna have to do it again. But turns out Saturn, he was actually on pretty low HP, this first one right here, so I was able to take him out with the North Fleet. You'll see before there, I was actually trying to shoot past him on the other guy because the other Saturn still had his turrets on his back, so I was actually trying to take out his turrets in order to get that done. But instead, I managed to kill the first Saturn with a few shots of the North Fleet, so that worked out pretty well. So you see now where this kind of screwed me over. I pulled out the Caustic Infinity because I figured that I was going to run out of pistol ammo very soon. In fact, right about now, because I only have 2 shots now. This is where I was really done. So I pulled out the Unkept Herald, and I was like, alright, let's just get this last bit of pistol ammo off, and then bam. So I pulled out the Infinity, bam, no ammo, and Saturn's just right out there. So I had no ammo behind me, so I had to make a rush for the ammo vendor to actually get a few pistol shots in order to actually use the Infinity. And that turret, my turret right there that was distracting Saturn, totally saved me on that one. And that was a huge mistake. I really shouldn't have done that. That was pretty dumb. I should have thought about that before I did it. I was just like, alright, Unkept Herald, why don't we just get this last shot off, man? What harm is it gonna do? And stupid me, we ran out of ammo for the Infinity. But all's good now. Obviously, he destroyed my turret now, so he's pretty much just bombarding me with shots. So eventually I get into a nice spot on the corner, and he can't really hit me with most of his shots. Just bob and weave and just shoot him constantly with the Infinity. And I was trying to get my turret out there, but turns out you can't actually get it through this gate, I don't think. It'll just stick onto like some kind of invisible wall. So basically the Saturn fight, oh man, it's pretty difficult. And if you're ever dumb enough to try what I'm doing right now, well, you better prepare yourself, because it's gonna take a lot of trials, and it's gonna be frustrating. I was frustrated, I'll be perfectly honest. I was on the verge of Call of Duty raging. That's saying something. I'm just kidding, I didn't go that far. Call of Duty raging is something in my past. Never gonna do that anymore. But anyways, I eventually get Saturn down. I haven't gotten the, I haven't gotten the high rocket launcher or the Invader sniper rifle from him yet. I'm hoping that I'll probably get a legendary from him soon, but until then, we're just taking it easy. And here we go with the final boss fight. Really not much to worry about with the Commando, as long as you hide behind that house and play it safe and make sure your turrets are... When your turrets are regenerating with this thing, you gotta hide behind the house and just look at the minimap and keep them on the other side of the house until your turrets replenish, because that's pretty much the only way you can do it with this. I usually take out the head first with the Commando because the fight's a bit longer without the Siren and the Legendary Cat class mod with all that setups and everything, so obviously the fight's going to take a bit longer, but if you're just careful and you utilize those turrets as distractions, then you'll be good to go. Obviously, once again, if I didn't have those turrets, he'd probably just be all over me and I'd already be dead. But as you can see here, my turrets already got both destroyed because he's actually a pretty powerful boss. So I'm just taking a look at my minimap every other second and make sure that he's on the other side of it so he can't inflict any damage onto me. And basically, once you get your turrets back, you throw those down and get back to shooting him. That's pretty much how you do it. And it's not too hard to defeat the last boss like this. I don't think I've lost to him once with the Commando, so you just gotta play it safe. It's pretty easy, not too difficult. The main parts you gotta watch out for are probably the Doc Mercy area, as well as the Saturn area, and maybe the Assassins will give you a bit of trouble if they all 4 of them spawn at once. That'll definitely be trouble for you. But overall, as a summary of soloing this with the Commando, it's probably the most difficult character that I've done yet. I have not yet tried Zero, so I'm figuring that Zero will be even more difficult. So I'm preparing for that. I'm going to try to see if I can get a nice build up for Zero. I honestly don't think I'm going to be able to do it because obviously Zero's probably not the best character to try and do this with. He doesn't really have anything that is just mass damage and just, I don't know. It's going to be difficult, and I've kind of figured out that this boss doesn't drop any of the new pearls. He just doesn't at all. I've farmed him like 40 times. None of the new pearls. You got to get them from Tubbies or Chubbies or whatever you want to call them. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's pretty much it. Here we go with turning it in so I can prove that it's real and you guys can't troll me. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I will be seeing you next time. Goodbye.